All right, welcome everybody. This is the Producers Hangout, episode 20. And today we've got on the mic here, we've got Angela P. Lewis, singer, songwriter, producer. I want to say hello.
Hello, soon to be Angelina Moyer. As soon as I confirm everything, get everything together, and rebranding. Hello, everyone. I've lost my voice, so I'm not going to be speaking too much today. Hello, welcome.
And next we have Kev West of KevWestBeats.com. And what's your gaming channel as well?
Your girl wants Kev, all one word, drop the I in girl. Because I'm complicated, damn it.
Fair enough. And then we've got Mike of PadBangers.com, our resident German.
Guten Abend. What's up, everybody?
English.
So, we're gonna have Mike subtitle the entire show in German, except for not. So there's that. And I am Flux of FluxWithIt.com, and I speak one language, and that is nerd. So today's topics. We're gonna start off talking about brands and what they actually mean to us. And to start that off, something interesting's come up kind of recently in that Behringer's been bantering about the idea of putting out an analog polysynthesizer or possibly a whole line of analog polysynthesizers. And there's been a lot of scuttlebutt, I'm going to use that word today, about whether or not people would trust something like that or buy it. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who feel certain ways towards Behringer or feel certain ways towards other companies. But what I really wanted to touch on is how much do you put into a name of a company? If the product is good, are you comfortable in buying it, or are you more in a situation where you're looking at past products that they've done and how that's going to affect you? How much does product name actually factor into what you're looking to purchase? So I'm going to start off first with Mike, because he recently purchased a Moog Sub Fatty and waited an extreme amount of time to get it when a lot of other people were in his ear telling him not to get it and to get something else instead. So let me defer to you for a bit and ask what your opinion is on the subject.
Okay, where to start? Of course, if you have some experiences with companies, you have certain expectations. That might be good sometimes, that might be bad sometimes. Especially, let's keep it with the Moog. Of course, you know, Moog is a very big name in the synthesizer world, and so my expectations were really, really high. And luckily, I'm satisfied with it so far. But the thing is, if something has a really big name, of course, the chance of being disappointed is also very high. So a big name doesn't mean it's always easy to make a good product. Now with Behringer, I don't have a problem with Behringer or any other company, as long as I haven't had too much bad experiences with it. Like, there are some companies, when they bring out new products, from the beginning I doubt that the products are actually good, but I touch them anyway and see if they improve the quality or improve the sound quality. And sometimes they surprise me, and sometimes they're just as I expected. So I wouldn't say I care much about the name, but every company has the chance to make good products and to improve their products. But I know a lot of people that actually are really fanboys of certain brands, and sometimes when you read in the Kev West raises his hand. Now sometimes when you read in the forums and stuff, I have the feeling that those companies, they could mess up everything and people would still love them, and I can relate to that. If a company makes a bad product, they make a bad product, period, no matter how good other products of that company are. Yeah, that's my opinion on the topic.
Yeah, so Kev,
Yep.
you've gotten a slight reputation of having certain brand loyalties.
Yeah.
So, so when
We've
something like this comes about, is there are there any brands that you personally stay away from at all costs, or is there anything that really about a name brand of a company or a reputation of a company that draws you to it?
um I get called an IK fanboy a lot. They actually have released quite a few things that I don't like. I choose just not to talk about those things for the most part. But there aren't any companies that I stray away from. There are some that I'm a little weary of. I'm a little weary of Waves just because I think their stuff is overpriced. I'm a little weary of Behringer, even though I have a BCF 2000 and I absolutely love the thing. I've had it for 10 years and haven't had a single problem with it. Um, Try any other companies that I kind of stay away from or that I'm weary of. No, that's
Okay.
really about it. That's really about it. I'm pretty open minded to trying anything at least once.
Mm-hmm. And
But I love T-Rex.
Angela, how about you? Is there any companies that you tend to want to, that you shy away from just based on name,
Just based on
or
name.
at
Let me
least just
think.
based on name
Oh,
slash?
reputation. Behringer has. I'm kind of shy away from only because, I mean, I have the truth. B 2031As. That's the only Behringer product I have. But I mean, there was a mixer I was looking at that I haven't pulled the trigger on it just because I was just like indifferent about the brand and what I had, of course, reading in forums and reviews and things like that. But mm, there's as far as like brand loyalty and stuff like that, I think Akai was something I stuck with for a long time, and then they just kind of disappointed me.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing I got from Akai was the MPK 49. I had to mod my pads and for sensitivity purposes, and um, it took too long. They took too long on integrating their product with the computer the way Native Instruments did with machines. It took too long, so I never jumped on the Renaissance bandwagon or any of that. But I'm pretty much like Kev. I'm very open to different brands and trying anything once. I mean, if it's something that I feel like I need, because I mean, case in point, what's that stupid thing? The, the bee thing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
The bee thing.
yeah.
I
I
stayed away from that.
even though it had a bad reputation, well, not a bad reputation, but even though people were thinking, oh, it's a toy, I gave it a chance. I got it home, had some problems with it, sent it back, and replaced it. Got the new unit. I didn't like the way the loop function was operating. I didn't like the way just didn't seem like it was syncing. Then it was shutting down if you do something wrong. The firmware was updated. I sent it back, but regardless of what was going on in the forums, I was still willing to give it a chance because I felt like for me it would be really cool to unplug, sit on the sofa. I homeschool my kids. I was like that would be really cool during the day. I can produce during the day. And after that happened, I was like, I'll just get an iPad. Forget that, because it wasn't like giving me what I needed. But it wasn't. I did not let what I was reading affect my decision to get it. Because I feel like at the end of the day, I was the one who had to live with it. If it was my decision to make. So I was able to return it, and I got an electric guitar, and then a couple months later, I went back and got an iPad. So. That's
I
what
Yeah,
think you
I'll
I think you
say
made a
that.
great point about what you have to live with. I think so many people are busy following the Joneses
Mm-hmm.
and trying to keep up with everyone else that sometimes we lose out on unique workflows
Mm-hmm.
because we have everything, we have everything that everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said about having a small workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a couple choice pieces and that be that.
Right. And I think
And I've tried
one of the things that attracted me to it was the layout of it was very similar to the old school MP7, very similar workflow. And as a keyboard player, I felt like it would work for me, but it didn't hold up to what I was hoping it would be, and I had to send it back. But yeah, I'm open. I'm really open for that too.
That kind of brings me on a slight tangent. Also, is that another thing that you got to be careful about is um, company reputations that you will or won't work with because of these sorts of things. I actually did work for certain companies that were getting that sort of reputation. I actually did an expansion for BeatDang that never came to fruition because of some of the same things that people were talking about in the forums, unfortunately. Which some of the guys that used to be there were actually really, really cool, but they're not all there anymore. But anyway, I will say, as far as I don't necessarily want to pick on Behringer, because I actually have the way that I look at Behringer is they help a very specific sect of people. It's really utilitarian, and they can get, if you only had access to expensive mixers, a lot less people would be able to get mixers, and same with monitors, and same with a lot of other gear. Nowadays, there's a lot more companies out there that are producing budget equipment for producers, so it becomes a more competitive market for these budget things, so price comes down and quality goes up, which is nice. And I think I've seen that a lot with Behringer equipment in the past 15 years or so. I remember the old Behringer Eurorack mixers were absolute junk, whereas their newer stuff is actually not that bad. It may not last quite as long. Transformers aren't as sturdy and aren't as low noise floor, but for what you're paying for, it's something that you can. It's an option that you can weigh. These days, I tend to try to keep Behringer out of my audio signal path. But as far as their controllers and stuff are concerned, I don't really have much of a problem with it. I haven't really seen too many issues with them being keeping up to date. There are certain companies that I tend to shy away from on that level. Like M Audio is kind of notorious for kind of wonky firmwares and updates. So I tend to, if they were to come out with a product that I said, oh, that looks like it'll fit my needs, I'll be very weary before I update to it or get that piece of gear, because I'd be worried about, well, in the long term, are they really going to support this product? That being said, I'll still be interested to try it out, see what it sounds like or how it operates. Newmark mixers especially, I don't think I'll ever buy a Newmark mixer again in my life. I went through many of those things, and those were, again, it's when you buy a Newmark product, you're buying something that's going to be budget, and as a result, you see things like who owns all of those? Is it InMusic? InMusic owns Newmark, Alesis, Akai. Like, basically, from what I've been able to see, at least, all of that stuff has gone very. Everybody that InMusic owns, at least, it looks like they've taken all of that stuff really budget. Whether they've rebranded or not, like even their higher end stuff, it's produced very budget, and so I tend to shy away from those products unless it's something really cheap, like just like a cheap little MIDI controller. Like I've got this little like Akai, portable keyboard that I take with me or use with an iPad, and it's great. Like I absolutely love it. But when it comes to putting stuff in my audio path, I'm much more critical. So anything that has to do with a mixer, anything that has to do with any kind of converters, anything that has to do with preamps, those are the areas that I'm usually much more careful about. And when I see this Behringer thing coming up with a polysynth, I think about a few different angles on it. One, it could be great. Two, it could be trash. But the in-between areas where it gets really interesting, because you could have something that's built maybe with lower quality parts, so it's a little bit noisier or something, which is kind of what happens with the Korg MS-20 Mini. It's got a noisy VCA, but at the same time, it's got so much character, and it's built like crap, to be honest with you. It's built like Like the knobs on it are really crappy. The sockets for the 1/8 inch adapters on the MS-20 are really cheap. But it has so much character that you can forget all that. You know, the keyboard is terrible. So what? It sounds awesome. Like, it's really fun to play because it has so much character. So
But it's going to fall apart quickly, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I would never gig with that thing. But that's probably the same point that you'll be at with this thing, is it might not be a gigging instrument, or if it is a gigging instrument, hopefully it's cheap enough to where you could replace it, because we don't know price points. It sounds like this thing is still a ways off, but it seems like they're really interested in it. The flip side of it is it could also be really good. I mean, they've reported to be using the Midas team, which also did the X32, which is a fantastic product and sounds great. So it's like, who knows, maybe they are able to mass produce in enough quantities and have good design behind it that they're able to actually do something at a lower price point than most other companies would be able to do, have it engineered decently, and, you know, be a quality, interesting product. So on that level, I'm actually really excited and looking forward to it. If it comes in at a price point at like $1,500 or less, and it's, you know, it's like a, say, a 5-voice or more, then I'd be extremely hard pressed to ignore that. I mean, that's something that I would, you know, and again, it also gets down to workflow too. If the workflow works for you, if the synth is designed out in a really nice way, that could be very, very interesting. So, and nobody else is doing it. Like, the opportunity's been there for a while. You know, you've got Dave Smith doing polysynths, and you've got Electron doing polysynths, but for the most part, it really it's done at such a small scale that the price points are way higher. I think if you had somebody like you know, one of the big three getting into it, or a Behringer, or even an In Music or anything else, you know, Akai's toying around with their Rhythm Wolves or whatever. So it's conceivable that these kinds of things could happen from other companies. But when they start mass producing them on large scales, that's when it gets interesting, you know?
But that's the point, man. You see, also the latest Behringer monitor speakers, they were okay for their price range.
Sure.
And I'm talking about a price range about $250 to $300 a speaker. But the thing is, if I'm willing to spend $300 and I can get like a Yamaha HS8 for about $400 or $450, where's the, you know, there's to make a good quality, they need to increase the price, but then the gap to really good gear gets smaller and smaller.
Sure.
And that's where I see the problem. When you say like the synth, you would be okay with it when it's around $1,500, but for around $1,600 or $1,700, you can get an analog keys from Electron. You know, and I would probably never grab the Behringer if I could get an analog keys for only $200 more.
Well, I should clarify on that, because some of the, so there's been some things, I think somebody posted about it on Synthtopia and a few other places. But if you read the interviews and read into it a little bit, it looks like they're trying to produce something that has a lot of front panel controls and is very hands-on, and that's where it would differ from something like the Analog 4, which I think is a fantastic product, and I have a lot of gear lust for at the moment. But that sort of interface, a small box interface like that, is far different from something that's like a large format polysynth with lots of knobs and faders on it that you can, you know, dive right in. That's kind of more what I'm referring to. And yeah, if the price point difference would be, well, they're going to try and release it at $14.99 and it's going to sound like crap, or they're going to release it at $16.99 and it's going to sound great, then yeah, I would much prefer them to go the $16.99 route. You know what I mean? But
considering other polysynths like the Dave Smith guys that are quite a bit cheaper, why price is so high? Especially if it's Behringer, they're generally trying to price competitively. I'd be surprised if it was over $1,000.
The DSI stuff is not necessarily cheaper. I mean, you look at a Prophet 12 right now, and you're talking about $3,000 US. And if you're looking at a Pro 2, which is not even a complete poly, I mean, you're still, what, like close to $2,000, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, the price point is definitely different. Now, granted, I don't put Dave Smith Instruments and Behringer or even the big three on the same playing field, because you're talking about far different quantities, far larger, and like Dave Smith Instruments is a very small company. Like they might be very well known, but they are a very small company, and you have to keep that in your mind when you're looking at their price points as well. When you're dealing with a company that can easily mass produce, and let's be honest, this is going to be mass produced in China. It might be designed by a Midas team in the UK, but it's going to be mass produced in China, and it's going to be lowest possible labor costs. And some people have ethical issues with that sort of thing as well, as opposed to something that's going to be built in America or built somewhere where labor laws are a little bit more watched over. Which of course then you have a whole nother ethical debate as to whether or not people, like in America, you have a lot of people who would say, oh, well, we don't want these, oversights, and we don't want these ethical labor laws, and so then, but then at the same time, those same people will say, oh, well, I'm not going to buy from China. Well, you have to decide. You either want something with these low wages, or you want something with high wages. So that's. Those debates can be kind of factored into whether or not you're going to be buying. Like I had posted a video on the Mini Brutes and all on the modifications that I made to it, and a guy was commenting about how he was so angry that it was produced in China, and I'm like, well, what do you want, dude? You're talking about an analog synthesizer. This is really the first rebirth of mass-produced analog synthesizers, if you think about it, and. I'm like, what do you expect, man? Like this, at the price point that you're buying at, this is something that you have to, be aware of,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Exactly. Now, I'm curious why they didn't look at that Behringer synth. Why not consider just making a rack?
Well, we don't know that they won't at this point. This is still basically in theoretical talks, I guess, hypothetically speaking, because the head of Behringer's basically said he's very, very interested in it and possibly doing a line, and that if he's going to do it, he's having the Midas team design it, this and that. So we don't know what products down the line. We don't know what price points. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they flip everybody on their head and go the boutique route and say, you know what, we're going to release a $5,000 synth to compete with the Modulus 02. Who knows?
I don't buy boutique Behringer synths.
Basically, they said that they were talking about doing them, affordably. So, and things like the 106 and the Jupiter series are brought up in the discussion. So, we would assume that it's going to be all affordable. But who knows? Like these days, you see all kinds of weird things happening. You've got everything from stuff like this. This is the kind of thing that gets me going, is when you see we're talking about name brands. You see something like this, so Akai Professional, and the title on it, let me see if you can see it, is Analog Custom Shop, right? Which is the best name in the world. It makes you think, oh, this is going to be great. It's it's analog, it's custom. These are actually Chinese-built pedals that they just rebranded and put chrome paint on it, new paint on this thing, and they're mass-produced, by the hundreds of thousands, and they're Bing Yang pedals that you can get for $20, But that's what they do. These companies, they try to play off of their name brand, So it gets really scary when you think a company has a good reputation, but they try to slip things underneath of you that maybe you just won't notice. You'll think that, oh, well, these companies have a good brand, or these companies care about the people that are buying their expensive gear, but then they go and do something like that, and you're like, well, really?
That's been Akai since the original release of the MPD.
What's that?
That's been Akai basically since the original release of the MPD. I just saw the downward decline.
Yeah, since early 2000s, we've kind of seen that, and I'm not necessarily just picking on Akai for that. I mean, this is something that you see a few companies doing, but it's it becomes a thing where unless you're really in the know and really following these companies, that you might not know what you're actually getting. You might think you're paying higher prices for something of quality when you're actually paying higher prices for something of rebranding, you know, which is terrible in my opinion. Like, that's completely unethical. So I don't know. That's kind of, and I think that's also why you see products like that failing too. I mean, you see those same pedals. Like, the only reason I have them is because I got it for as much as I would pay for a Bing Yang, because people, the word gets out, people discover these problems, and then, you know, it moves on. I would really be interested to see this thing come out and actually like blow the skeptics away. So I think that would be fantastic. You know, but we'll see what happens. I want to bring up another topic as well, kind of on the idea of mass producing music needs. Korg recently released an app called the Module, and it's basically a sound module for your iPad, and you can plug in any MIDI keyboard to it and use it just like you would, you know, an old Triton rack or something. It has all your different synth engines into it, and they're going to have expansions and updates for it. So where we used to buy like a JV 1080 and then buy cards to put into it, now you can get an iPad and just download onto it, and it's on sale right now for like $29, and the expansions are like $29 each. But you get all these, you know, high quality sounds for your iPad that you can now, you know, plug into a MIDI interface and go to a gig and not have to lug an entire rack, you know, like a Triton or a JV 1080 or, you know, XV or whatever it is. So what I'm wondering is, do you guys think that this trend is going to continue with other manufacturers like Roland and them? I know Korg has been really active in the app market, so.
I think trends like this have been going on for a while. It's just now you see it on iPad. But you mentioned which got people doing with iPad and then bringing, you know, old racks. But remember years ago, people were still bringing, you know, laptops. You know, they might have been running Logic on stage. They might have been running Contact or Reason or SampleTank or something like that. I think this is just the evolution of that. We're getting smaller and smaller and more portable and more portable. I think the minute they figure out how to get it on an iPhone, and they make it like actually feasible to make it make sense and make it really easy to perform just off an iPhone, I think people probably won't even bother with iPads. They'll just keep it on their phone.
Well, I don't know if this will work on iPhone or not. It may. I don't see why it wouldn't. I would do that with maybe an iPod. I've done a few things with iPod Touches where I've done shows, and I've taken an iPod Touch that had a couple of synths on it and plugged it up and, you know, worked with it like that. But yeah, I find it really crazy that you're able to get these. And again, we're at this point where it's so mass market. The App Store is so mass market that if this was released in, you know, even on a laptop, or if it was released in a cheap hardware form, it'd be far more expensive. You know,
Oh yeah,
$29 for something like that is crazy.
it is. And people think that a $29 app is, like, you know, ridiculous, but when you do what we do and you see that the quality is not really reduced, you're hearing great stuff come out of that, and you're like, well, why am I going to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for something when I can get it for $29? I mean, if you look at it from that way, it's remarkable.
I saw a really great article. I'm trying to kind of look it up right now. I think I found it. There is a article that I found that shows synth numbers sold, like actual
Like album sales.
that was sold, and what the numbers were of some of the absolute most iconic stuff that ever sold. So like I'm talking like Akai S2000 samplers, which you know, some of the younger guys might not be as familiar with, but like the S2000, S1000, these samplers were like everywhere. I mean, you couldn't go into a studio without seeing one. And when you see how small those numbers of sales actually are, like we're talking in the low hundreds of thousands, like maybe 200,000, you know. I wish I could find the actual numbers. I mean, Korg M1 was only 250,000 sold. Like, that's extremely when you're dealing with the kind of when you're dealing with the kind of R&D that goes into making audio hardware and how nitpicky we all are, you know, that's a significantly small amount of sales per R&D, you know. So you got to say, like, when you see these kinds of sales, like $29 for an app like that, like, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's really, really low numbers. And now that apps are able to do it, the cost comes down because they're able to sell so many more of these apps, which I think is great. You know, you're getting 15-year-olds that are able to buy this stuff instantly, whereas it used to be not only could a 15-year-old maybe not have the kind of money that it would take to buy it, but wouldn't even know about it. You know, it's not like the internet as a whole has completely changed the music industry, not just on the sales figures of selling music, but on who's aware of what equipment you need to buy. Like, I remember when I first started out, it wasn't easy to know, you know, okay, well, this is what a sampler is and where to get it and what models, and here's the difference of them. You know, there was very, very few resources to actually get that information.
Yep, very true. Because actually, I mean, like, I think about my Core Trident. I mean, it was what, $2,500 some dollars. I had an uncle and aunt that helped me pay for most of it. I wrote a family letter trying to get money to raise money for this thing, and we only had like maybe one music store that I know of in town that everybody kind of went to, mostly church musicians and, you know, some local bands and things like that. But I mean, I think about how long I had, you know, I put it on layaway. That's how we had to do things back in the day, like layaway stuff. I laid away my Korg D1600, because I was very Korg loyal until all of the controllers came out, because I was a workstation person and, you know, that kind of stuff. But now, I mean, I have an M-Audio controller and a Kai 49. I'll probably get the Native Instruments one of these days. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to make that jump. But the fact of the matter is, like you said, it's just so simple now. I mean, I'm very envious, actually, of these people coming up now that they can just, you know, go on iTunes and just download the app. It's just like, wow. I mean, it's really cool. I'm glad I'm still in it. You know, I'm glad I'm not like 80 years old looking back on life like, man, I wish we had that.
Yeah, right.
For snappers. They have all the whippersnappers in their cheap gear.
Right.
Even my first piece of gear was Reason 2.0, so I'm kind of one of them.
Yeah, my first Reason was 2.5. I came right after that.
Oh, no, that was like literally like my first thing like I got into was Reason.
Oh, wow. So you came. Oh, okay. So you came into the software.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, my first piece of gear was a Roland U20 with a couple broken keys on it that someone gave me. I traded that in. Well, I pawned it. And then my next piece of gear, I think someone gave me a Tascam 424 tape recorder. You had to record it on the tape, and then you had you had 4 tracks, and that's when I learned. I taught myself how to bounce down. Because you had to bounce down to your. I would record on 2, bounce down to the other 2, record on the 2 again, bounce down, you know, until the tape pretty much, you know, was degraded, you know, or I started hearing bleed through of some other songs on the other side. It was like, okay, it's time to stop. I think I've stretched it enough. But I didn't even know what I was doing. I mean, the internet, like you said, has changed everything. I mean, I kind of get frustrated when people just it's so to the point now where the hunger, I believe, is still there in some regard, but then you have, like, even in our forums, people asking ridiculous questions that they can now find at their fingertips that I never had that opportunity to do in the past. So, like, now, I mean, I'm not the person that's, like, on the forums asking questions that I can find on my own and go dig on my own, because I think I've always had that in me where I was always trying to go dig and find out things on my own. It's great to have tools like the Producers Hangout and the other forums that I participate in, but it's like at the same time it's like it's causing a lot of people to be a little lazy. I know that's a little bit of a tangent, and I'm gonna jump off my soapbox, but
you stay on it.
I agree. It's one of those things where I I'd struggle with going back and forth between whether or not I want to smack someone in the face or whether or not I want to be like embrace them, because I'm on a couple of different levels where I say, you know, one, yeah, sure, not everybody knows what we know or has been doing it for as long as we've been doing it, that kind of thing. That's fine. But when it does come down to a situation where it's like, well, you have this wonderful PDF manual that you can just type in a few keywords and it'll take you exactly to the part in the manual that you need to know about, like, I feel some type of way, because I remember reading Akai manuals from back in the day that were barely English, you know, like they were all kinds of wacky.
Right?
You know, I mean, the certain manuals from back in the day were just, oh man, were they awful.
Oh, I can show you some. Oh my gosh, so bad. Where you, like, I mean, like this much is English.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally like that much, and then the rest of it, like the rest of it was all in different languages.
Yeah, so, I mean, so there's part of me that when I see that kind of thing go on, I'm just like, oh, come on, dude, really? Like, you could spend a little bit of effort, you know, you could, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if it wasn't for these people and the mass accessibility to it, where they feel like, well, I don't need to spend a lot of time to learn this stuff, I'm just going to get right into it, and they don't spend a lot of effort into it, those same people are driving sales numbers, you know.
That's true.
So that brings my costs down when I have to buy a piece of gear, you know. So like on that same level, it's like, well, I can't be too mad because they probably saved me $200.
Exactly, because if it wasn't for everybody trying to be a producer,
and if they do get too frustrated, even with people helping them, because I see people all the time that are like, they get YouTube videos, they get direct one-to-one help in places like the Producers Hangout, they get all this stuff handed right to them, and they still can't work it because it's just not for them or whatever. It makes me buying it secondhand so much cheaper.
And don't forget you're a sound designer too. So you got the people like that don't want to learn how their synth or how their sampler
right?
works.
They're gonna buy them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the market.
So
that's how there's so many machine libraries out there from people who just don't want to learn how their effects work. You can do everything. Like Willie got mad at me. I said this before. You can do everything you want to with the stock sounds you have, you know, and then maybe like something like Sample Tank or Contact and a synth in your effects.
Well, I mean,
Everything
I
you
would say
want
to an extent, because I mean that still doesn't. I mean, you're not gonna, you know, that still doesn't equate for like, you know, getting specific sounds in there, like.
Right, and that's the thing you're missing. That's what if you're into timbres or like, okay, I want to sound like a Jupiter 8. Yeah, nothing's gonna replace a Jupiter 8.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or like, you know, like there are specialty libraries and they have their place. You know, like
right.
For instance, like when I go into a power plant and I'm recording sounds of a power plant, that's not in the stock.
That's
library.
not in the stock sound. Yeah, the vocal vocal filler packs. Like when I do that, it's not going to be in the stock sounds.
So, but to an extent, like I get what you're saying in that you can, you know, you can get like a good 75% of the way, and most people who are at the point where they don't know how to use the stuff all the way, they're probably not even trying to push that boundary that rest of the way because they don't even know where that boundary is.
They can't even receive that part right now because they're just in the beginning phases. Like, I mean, it takes a whole. I'm not saying it's rocket science, but it's just a whole other level of thinking. Because, you know,
there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, I mean, like, there's nothing there. You know, people say there's levels to this, and it's true. And there's nothing to be ashamed of being on a lower level and then getting like I'm at a level right now where I expect in the next year I'm going to be at an even higher level, and the year after that, an even higher. Like I will never stop learning. Like
ever.
And I'll never be pompous about it because I know that there's always somebody that knows more than you. Oh,
and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
knowing that. Well, you got these people who don't know that apparently. But but that's okay. You know, I mean,
those people are ugly. So
yeah, they're ugly people. You know, so
hey, Kev, Kristen, when are you leaving? Okay, all right, taking the car.
What's Kev talking about? Kev is handling.
Right now they're busy.
What's going on here?
See what I mean? There's levels. So.
Wait, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
What's going on?
I just feel like. Yeah, with everything that's handed to you and with mass market appeal of music products, I feel like even if a company has a reputation of producing lower quality, if they're not lying about their quality, which that's my #1 pet peeve of any company, Don't
lie.
lie to your customers. If you lie to your customers, which there's a few companies that, people know that I am very angry at because I see lies from them. When I see a lie, I call it out, because to me that's akin to stealing. That's akin to thievery. Like when you try to pass something off as something that it's not, that to me is the same as somebody, don't let me hear you complain about somebody bootlegging your shit because you just, tried to thieve on them. You just try to take advantage of somebody else. So, that's like, to me, it's that kind of thing all comes back onto you. That's what is it? Karma.
Karma.
That sales karma for your face. So.
Oh yes. And I mean, I think that's just becoming more and more apparent in all kinds of industries too, where people will kind of give you this perceived idea of what you're getting, and then when you realize, hey, that this really isn't it. Like Machine 2.2, for example, that just came out. Everybody, at least I thought, when they were going to give us the ARPs and the chords, I thought I'd be able to play that from my keyboard. Nope.
Yep. Nope, that's not gonna happen.
And I felt a kind of way about that at first. Now I'm like, you know what? They want to sell their keyboard. I'm still not going to buy their keyboard. I felt it's not competitively priced at all. And for the price of that, I can get a mofo. But I understand why they did it. And I'm like, I'll just work around it the way I've always worked around it.
Well, I guess we can hop on to 2.2. Machine 2.2 recently released, and we can just kind of touch on that a little bit. And I'll say, so some of the new features are that it has scales, chords, ARPs, like a harmonizer style, all of which can only be used from the machine pads currently, and cannot be triggered from an external keyboard unless you buy the new Native Instruments Complete Control. And even then, I'm not so sure how well it all integrates for that just yet. I've been hearing things that you need to use the Complete Control software. I don't know. I don't have that, so I'm not going to dive too deep into that. I will say this.
Joe did a video. Joe did a video about the keyboard integration. It seems to be okay integration from what I saw in his video.
Okay.
You just have to get used to. You have the little pop up like when they gave all the Complete owners the little separate software. Yeah, it's just you have to use that pop-up, and you have to do everything through there.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Will that enable? I haven't tried it yet. Will that enable you to be able to use it on an external keyboard with that particular software?
Let me clarify, because that is for Native instruments. Like when you Complete Control software, that's only for Native instruments. That is not for external instruments, third-party instruments.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm getting at. And the thing about it is that early on, Machine back in the 1.x days, I don't remember when exactly it was removed. I want to say it was after 1.2. We're getting back to probably 2010. You used to be able to trigger note repeat from an external controller. So you could have note repeat on 16th notes and be playing stuff, and it sounded cool as hell. It was really fun. They removed that feature later on. If I recall, there was hanging notes that were happening, and it may or may not have been related to that. I don't recall exactly, but they removed that feature. Well, the scales and everything is in the note repeat area on Machine 2.2. So in order for that to work, they would have to fix that original problem and give us back note repeat from the key.
Is there not like a panic button?
Well, here's the thing: is I don't know whether this is something that they're doing consciously so that they can sell complete keyboards, or if it's something a bug from way back that is now coming back to really bite us in the butt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, and I can't fully say. I can tell you that it irritates me to no end, because I see really very little point to having an arpeggiator just on pads. Like, that's very, very limited thinking. So that really drives me kind of nuts.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I was thinking NI was just getting kind of cocky about it, because I got my machine right around 2.8. I think it was after the 2.8 or 1.8, excuse me, update came out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was thinking they were just getting cocky.
Well, and
I was like, well, we're going to do what we want.
That's the reputation that I think it's going to foster from other people. Is like I said, I literally, legitimately do not know if this is something that they're doing on purpose, or if it's a previous bug that, and feature that was taken away that is now causing a problem. I don't know. Either way, I don't like it. But in my personal opinion, that's going to foster a lot of negative opinion about the reputation of the company if they choose to go a route where you spend $1,000 or $600 or whatever it is on a machine controller and can't functionally use it completely, without having to buy another $600 keyboard.
Especially because when I was first introduced to the machine, someone was like, "Oh, if you like NPCs, you're gonna love the machine." I'm like, "What's the machine?" And they're like, "Oh, you get it, and then when you update your software, it all updates for free, and blah, blah, blah." And I watched the videos, and I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." But it's like, I mean, I'm kind of a little feeling some type of way now, myself, like after this update, especially because I didn't come in until 1.8, because I was like, machine, that sounds like a toy. And I looked at it, I was like, I'm not sure. And so, but I'm thinking, like, if they've been having all these problems since before I even came on board, then, like, what's the deal? Like, seriously, I feel some type of way about a lot of their practices and some of the things that they do as far as just their mindset. I think they're still operating on, I was telling somebody this yesterday, I was like, I almost feel like I'm being taken advantage of, and I feel like this goes to their pricing and stuff like that. I really wish they would do more of a Waves update plan, because I'd rather pay my $200 at the beginning of the year and every year and get whatever they release. As far as all this Black Friday sale debacle that happened this past week. But as far as
what happened? What happened? I'm curious about your Black Friday debacle as opposed to mine that happened a year ago.
Well, just the fact that everybody was waiting on these sales, and I understand Complete 10 just came out and everything, but there were some other things that they didn't do that they could have done. They could have did some machine expansion discounts and things like that. I haven't seen them do another one of their cloud machine expansion cloud packs that they did before, where you got the 9 machine expansions together for a discounted rate. I feel
honestly, really, you could just go to the Machine Warehouse because they're having a great sale.
Yeah, Machine Warehouse is having a wonderful sale.
They always do, though.
Yeah, they do, and I feel like actually the third party distributors are the ones that are really looking out for the consumer. I feel like NI is just like kind of getting a little cocky and, like you said, arrogant with it, because I'm like, okay, they knew everybody in the forums. I know they have people in the forums looking at this stuff. It's like, people have been talking about, oh, I can't wait to see what NI is going to have on sale. I can't wait to get that Complete 10. And I'm like, why do we have to wait until Black Friday to hope for something when they could go? I've been saying this for about a year and a half, 2 years, and they need to have some type of update plan. I would gladly pay my $200 at the beginning of the year or whatever annually and do an update plan similar to what Waves has. Because I do have Waves. I got Waves at a very, very, very reasonable rate. And right now, if I want to, anytime I want to go in and update my plan, I update it, pay $240, and I get everything that's been added to my Mercury package. Why can't Complete just be, Complete Elements, Complete, and Complete Ultimate, and you buy that one time, and then it's not a Complete 10, Complete 11, Complete 12, all that crap. You just pay your update plan if you want to pay it. If you don't, then you don't get the new added instruments. When you do finally pay your update plan, then you get what's been added to the complete product. But I feel like Native Instruments is not going to get there. I don't know if it's because they haven't been around as long as companies like Waves, or if they're just, money hungry and don't want to do that. But I feel like they approach it like I feel like existing customers aren't getting the best end of this deal. Like right now, I can go in there.
Pass from previous completes to the current complete.
Say that one more time.
There are cross grades and upgrades.
They're cross grades, but they're like
really a huge. Like I don't know. I'm not super sold on the idea of like a yearly.
No.
Right.
Let me explain how the yearly thing works. It's not like you're paying like Adobe did. It's not like that crap where you're paying a yearly subscription, and once your subscription is over, you don't get to use your stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's like you get whatever's. This is what would happen. So like, my update plan for Waves ended back in June. I can still use my Waves products, no problem. But when something new was added to that Mercury package, I just don't get it. because I haven't, updated yet, because I'm waiting until NAMM and everything else that comes up, because there's going to be new products coming out. So when I finally do upgrade, I upgrade for my price and I get everything that was added to it, whether that be $1,000 worth of stuff or whether it be, more than that. So my thing is, like, why? Because even if they have, let's just say they had the Black Friday sale and I could have got complete Ultimate 10 at $199 or whatever. Come January, February, they're gonna drop something else, and then I'm gonna be out of luck because it's not gonna be in that complete 10 package. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they're adding things after they release a product that's not included in that main huge Ultimate package.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna have a complete 10 Ultimate, then when you add stuff to it, those owners should get those new updates instead of it being something outside of the package that you have to now wait until complete 11 comes out to get if you don't want to buy it.
That's a very interesting point of view because I'm actually the total opposite. Like, the thing that turned me off about Waves was their upgrade program. I didn't like it, and I was one of the people who misunderstood it. Like you said, you just don't get the new stuff,
right?
Unless you pay it yearly. Versus me, I'm like I haven't bought Complete 10. I have no reason to buy Complete 10. So for me, I'm good on Complete 9. The only reason I would have bought 10 is if it came with Molecular, and it doesn't. I have Standard. I don't have Ultimate. I don't need Ultimate. So for me at least, it's like I buy the upgrades as they need it. I like the individual things that come out because I buy what I need when I need it now. And I have so much stuff around. I think you saw in
yeah, we all saw you minimize.
Yeah, I uninstall stuff. Like, I'm down to basically Complete, Machine, Trillion, and Omnisphere, and T-Rex. And it makes working so much easier.
Yeah.
And then we have Ken in his little playground.
When it comes to Black Friday and stuff, it's a wonderful time to get lots of great deals on, especially software, more than anything else. Like hardware, you can get some deals, but software, you can get crazy deals. Like the Black Friday, and we also have Cyber Monday coming. But like this whole time of year is when a lot of people tend to stock up on like all their software needs for a good while. I don't know. Like, honestly, I looked around this year and like I'm not opposed to Waves, but I'm also not really big on them. And I looked at maybe getting some of the packages they had. I think it was, what is it, like Mercury Gold or something for pretty.
Gold was $199. $147 on.
I thought about it, and then I was just like, no. So.
No.
Like, I've never been that big a fan of that stuff, so I was just like, nah, I have other things that do the same thing, and I don't really need it that much. So, but what really struck me is how many people this year especially I saw that were specifically like 3 months ahead of time were like, I'm not buying anything until Black Friday. And I'm like, okay, Black Friday is a sale. Black Friday is not a specific, like, everything definitely goes on that time. So while I agree that like we all have to be aware of like these trends, and we've talked about that before, at the same time I'm like, well, if it didn't happen then, there's probably a reason, and there'll probably be another sale coming up.
Most definitely.
Afterwards. Like, if you're dead set on getting stuff at a sale price, there's eventually going to be a sale. There's like very, very, very rare sales, like Spectrasonics like hardly ever does sales, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
well, like Waves,
I tend to agree with what Angela's saying, but at the same time, I'll also say, well, that's their product cycle,
Yeah, and I understand that.
Then what they tend to do is like they'll release one big product, then they'll release a teaser thing that they usually give away during Christmas. Right? And that tends to lead into a
bigger product that goes into the next package.
They tend to release like a contact or something instrument after that, and then something else major will come, like a synth or something will come, and then they'll do a few more effects products or something throughout the year, and then the next complete comes.
Right.
That tends.
I mean, as long as we continue to buy this stuff, we're going to continue to do it. But it's just like in my mind, I'm like, well, it would be a better,
In your mind, you're like, I just spent $1,000.
Yeah, you're like, I mean, I can see if they're targeting new people who are coming on the market. I mean, if that's their target market, the new people who, everybody who just wants to be a producer who don't know what the heck they're doing, then that's cool. That's a great business model to have. But when you have people who are trying to be professionals and who are conscious of what they're spending and they're looking at their bottom line and things like that, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy your product when I know you're gonna come out with another ultimate package or whatever you're gonna have a year or two down the line. I mean, I have been victim of buying them singly, and then so then next thing you know, I bought them at Black Friday, like this 50% off, and then they dropped the Complete 9 Ultimate like a couple months later. So
With buying things singly like that is when I do that, it's something that I know darn well that I'm going to use a lot.
Right, and that's what happened. It's like I got I think I got the Giant, which I can resell that right now for the low. So if you're listening, put a little plug in. But no, I got the Giant. I got Razor. This was like way back when I first had just 8.
But the other thing is that a lot of people don't upgrade their completes right away. Like usually, if complete comes out, you can wait like 2 or 3 completes and then upgrade for the same price that it would have costed you doing it the first year, and then you get way more stuff.
Right, exactly.
That's a much more longer term issue. And then, like you said, being professionals and trying to stay on top of what's new and trying to get that next sound all the time, you don't necessarily always have that option depending on what you're.
Because sometimes you don't want to wait. Like I might right now. I might go and get Rise and Hit but I'm like, I don't know, because I can actually do that, without having. I don't have to have their program to do those types of sounds. I can do that manually with my own, damage and stuff I have, So I'm like, I probably won't buy anything until, I might not get 10 at all. I might wait till 11, So I'm kind of.
Buy anything that they felt was a really great deal on Black Friday?
I got an ADSR tutorial for Reactor.
Okay.
Like
You're not allowed to talk anymore because your voice is cracking.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm looking out.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that blew me away, but you guys know 2014 for me has been really mad. So like Molecular, I think it's called the Synchronous and Reason, Machine 2.2, Sample Tank 3. It's all I've really been into this year.
What about you, Mike? Did you get anything?
No.
Well, your money on the Sub 37.
Yeah, I bought the Sub 37, and actually, I'm more looking for new hardware at the moment. Yeah. I'm pretty satisfied with the software I have. I thought the IK Multimedia deal was pretty cool. It started with, I think when you buy one product, you get one more for free, and the more people use that discount, the more plugins you get on top. So I think in the end it was like you buy one product and you get 4 more plugins for free. I thought that was a really cool deal. And also I'm a big fan of the T-Rex plugin, so I thought about that, but then I bought the total bundle last year and I'm still pretty satisfied with it. So no, I didn't buy anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I bought. I got something. I don't even remember what it was. That's the problem.
Did you have too much stuff? That's my problem. I've built so many relationships that I have a little bit of everything.
I got something from Waves. I'm trying to remember what I got from. I did get one thing from Waves, but like they suckered me into one thing. But I mean, like
the pumper that was given away for free.
I did get that also. Yeah.
I skipped on that. What was it?
I haven't even authorized it yet.
Yeah, I got that one because, of course, I haven't updated it yet. So.
Yeah.
My little
the other thing that I did was I got I don't have it around here anywhere, but anyway, I bought one little thing. I'm building a synthesizer called Oregon Accumulator, and it wasn't necessarily a Black Friday deal, but I looked around at all the deals and I was like, I'd rather have this hardware, so I'm building that synthesizer instead. And yeah, like there were some decent deals out there, but truth be told, in the software world, for the most part, I'm set. Like there wasn't a lot that I feel like I'm wanting for right now. Like I didn't really feel like I need any more mastering things. I don't feel like I really need more software compressors or anything. I mean, I like having them.
Mm-hmm.
I got. I mean, I do always love getting different delays and different reverbs. Those which I saw Lexicon has a deal on.
You know, Lexicon has a $49 reverb.
I will likely get that because I do love all kinds of different reverbs because I feel like they each add their own character. So I get really nerdy about reverbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard Sound Toys was doing something, so I got to look over there because I love their stuff.
Yep.
So far, I haven't really been driven to want to get any software this year. I've been much more hardware focused.
It feels like all the deals this year for Black Friday are basically the same thing they are every year. Native Instruments, everything 50% off. Applied Acoustics, everything's $100. IK, they always have their 2-for-1s or 3-for-2s type stuff. F Expansion, everything's $100. Same thing every year.
Yeah, I do need to get new tuning forks for my Rhodes too. So I need like 3 of them. So, but other than that,
I got one thing. I'm not sure if it really was a Black Friday deal or just right before Black Friday. The UVI Mellotron emulation.
Oh yeah,
How is
that's
it?
great by the way.
Yeah, I got that for free a couple years ago.
That was for free, and this is the best sounding virtual Mellotron I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is really, really amazing. It sounds so good, and I'm really looking into more stuff from UVI. I didn't check them out before.
Wait, they're giving the Mellotron away again for free this year?
Yeah.
Are they?
The UVI stuff is fantastic.
I'm
and I love
asking.
the fact that you can layer it with the synthesizer inside of Mach 5. Like, oh man, I love that stuff. I absolutely love Mach 5. So.
Yeah. So far, what I heard from UVI, this stuff is pretty amazing. I didn't check out a lot of them because I'm using Contact all the time, but I want to get some more stuff from them because that Mellotron is just fantastic.
Yeah, you said you got it for free or you had to pay for it this year?
No, it's for free for a short time. They gave it away totally free.
Yeah, I got it for free a couple of years ago, and then I got the another one they gave out. I was hoping they were giving a new one out this year. That's why I asked, because I've gotten 2 UVI plugins for free. I mean, 2 UVI instruments for free over the last 2 years.
Is it still free? I'm gonna go check it out.
I love that thing. I have a really dope song with it. It's like a dramatic film score that I'm trying to do on that one. That Mellotron is really crazy.
Kev was asking if it's still for free, Mike.
I don't think so. But even if they charge you the regular price, it's worth it.
It's like $99.
You should really check it out.
Kev, sometimes you can buy something else and it comes free with it.
Okay, I might check that out.
So, a lot of times they have those deals going on.
I already have a ton of Mellotron sounds. I really like the Mellotrons I have for Sample Tank, but if it's free, I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is it the same Mellotron that came with the Total bundle? Like the...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then this thing blows it totally away.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can believe that. I look at it like, okay, can I make it fit my song? What kind of effects can I use with it more so than like a realistic representation? I'm weird that way.
Kev, you have this dreamy glow around you. Just want to let you know.
Oh, he knows.
I did it on purpose.
On that note, we're going to end the show because I won't be having anybody talking nice to Kev West.
Hey, don't be mad if the ladies think I'm dreamy.
It was a glow around you.
I have an aura, okay?
I'm going to let Angela sign off first.
Yeah, I'm going to sign off, and I have another hangout I got to get on, and then I'm resting my voice for the rest of the day. It was great seeing you guys. Talking about this good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right, Kev West.
Glad to be back on the show. Glad Mike and Ken didn't have the show an hour early, so I wouldn't be there like they've been doing. And I hope to not have any more hiatuses. And I'm glad finals week is almost over, so I can make more music.
All right, and Mike of PadBangers.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? Check out PadBangers.com. News for all the English speakers. I'm switching the whole site over to English language. To all the German viewers, you're screwed now. I'm sorry for that.
So I'll be looking forward to that because I actually really do like the articles that are on that site. So they're really great stuff on there.
Google Translator for the win?
Yeah, are you using a translator for it, or are you just redoing it yourself?
I'm not redoing anything, so everything that's in German so far will stay in German, but all
Okay.
the new added stuff will be English and no translator, which not necessarily means it's better.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You
English is better. We
know better
understand.
than a lot of people I know. So, and I'll be signing off as well. A couple of things I just want to say. Videos coming up real soon. The Synthertech DSM drum module. I just built this one. This is the first outside of their shop. So, very, very cool drum synthesizer module. The Animodule Gate mod. I'm going to be doing a video on that. That will be up very shortly. I just uploaded videos on how to modify the Mini Brute and Micro Brute, and it gives you a complete tutorial on how to do it yourself and how to find your own kind of mods. So I've got tons of stuff that's coming up on my site and on my YouTube channel, the YouTube.com/Flux302. I've got a lot of sound libraries that are coming out for Flux With It sound libraries very soon, and with the MachineWarehouse.com. I recently ended an exclusive deal, so now I'm kind of distributing through a lot of other channels, which is great. You'll start to see a lot more products out. Really looking forward to that. So definitely check out the Fine Line expansion, which should be coming to an internet download source near you extremely soon. It's already finished. I'm just trying to get it out there to you. And the Drum Potion series are up now as well. So peace. Thanks for joining and doing this. Haha.